What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So the other day I reviewed a video from a learner of Japanese who basically made a video saying that Japanese is completely and utterly useless outside of Japan. He wasted his entire life on this endeavor getting fluent in this language, and no one should bother because even if you ever meet a Japanese person on the street, they will just ignore your pure existence, okay? Because apparently, you know, unless you speak absolutely flawless Japanese, they don't want to speak with you. Now, I obviously didn't believe that, and the comment section went off with lots of people saying, you know, I've gone to Japan, I've had plenty of great experiences, blah, blah, blah. And it made me start thinking, maybe I should make a video about my amazing experiences with my languages, and then also some traumatic ones to share with all you guys, because this was something that kept going off in the comments section, specifically around the fact that there is hardly anyone who speaks Japanese outside of Japan. Well, I can do one better. See, I speak a language that's much smaller in number, that being Esperanto, and then one that's much larger in number, that being Mandarin Chinese. So I can share some interesting experiences from both languages, the good and the bad. Now, what I will do is down in the bottom, I'll have like a little, you know, those clickable link thingies, so you can figure out which stories you want to hear and which you don't want to hear, because obviously some are going to be Esperanto, some are going to be Chinese, and I even got a couple of mixed ones in there, because that's the type of man I am. I like bastardized language stories. Okay. So the first story starts in Switzerland. Recently, after I got married, my wife and I are traveling through Europe for our honeymoon. Now, at this time, I was not really using Esperanto while traveling. Did a little bit here and there, but it was not the goal of the trip. The goal was to go to pretty places, take pretty photos, do pretty shit, and if you've ever traveled with a Chinese person, you know they take a lot of photos. So that's what me and my wife were doing. Now, we were going to Switzerland, and we had a hotel that we were going to stay at. Something goddamn happened, I can't remember, okay? But basically, we could not go to this hotel anymore, and it was about a day before we were gonna rock up. We looked at alternative hotels, and they're all costly because it was like lots of people traveling around. It's fucking Switzerland, okay? Switzerland's just Switzerland. It's pretty and it's costly. And we were like, okay, we got to figure out a situation. I was like, let me reach out to the local Esperanto association. Maybe they can help. So I email them and I say, you know what, we're rocking up to Switzerland in about a day or so, and we're kind of hoping that there's a place we can stay. You know, maybe there's some local group that would put us up or something. Now, I had used Esperanto before with travelers, but it was always independently, and it was always one of those scenarios where you pretty much got a couch. You got seen around town, you got to see some interesting stuff, you got to chat with the locals, really see local shit, but that was pretty much the extent of my expectations, if anything popped up. Now, we got an email back from the association. They said they actually had someone who could help us out. All we had to do was go to this town called, I think it's Lausanne, something like that. Anyway, it's like southwest Switzerland. It's on the edge of a lake, okay? Anyway, so we were gonna go through that area anyway, because it's a really beautiful area, so we were like, okay, cool. So we rocked up to the train station, got off, and there's two like elderly couple, like they must be in their 60s or something. They were really nicely dressed, really kind. They were speaking to us. My wife was feeling a lot better about the situation because clearly I was not trying to sell her to the mountain people or anything like that. And they took us to their house. Now, as again, my expectation was couch in the back room, maybe 30 other people, illegal immigrants, all this type of stuff, you know, underground railway type of shit, okay? But we rock up to this absolutely gorgeous cottage that is overlooking the fucking lake. I'm talking 5-star real estate. Absolutely pristine looking area, okay? And beautiful views. And we're like, holy shit. And they're like, yeah. So here's the keys. You can go to the second floor. The whole second floor is all yours. And by the way, tomorrow we got to go down to Italy and see some art, like fucking exhibit or something. So we're not going to be here. So just drop the keys in the mailbox when you're done. And we're like, okay. So we get to just stay on the second floor, and we're like, oh, okay, well, we'll do it tomorrow. And they're like, oh, don't feel rushed. We're going to be gone for like a week or so. Stay however long you feel. And we're like, okay. So we literally just got given the upper level of this cottage that's overlooking the lakes, okay? Now, I already can see it. The Esperanto speakers are going to be in the comments section below going, give us the details. We want to go type of thing. But, probably not, okay? I don't know. I don't want to inundate them suddenly, especially from a YouTube channel, okay? But anyway, so we go there, we stay there, like, they've got, you know, the whole, like, cushion beds with the friggin' bean bags and stuff on the second floor. Literally, the whole area is set up for guests, okay? So clearly, they have a lot of guests. And the next morning, we go downstairs, and we're expecting to go out. these people have prepared breakfast for us before they left. They've got all these cheese platters and meats and stuff in the middle of the table with a nice little note saying, you know, help ourselves, have whatever we want. And they'd also prepared local tourist maps for like things that they recommend we go and see. Obviously, my wife, her expectations now for Esperanto meetups have gone through the roof type of thing. But that was like my first true experience using this language, you know, beyond just for interest and fun's sake in Australia. And it was a great it was a great experience, but unfortunately it did set expectations through the goddamn roof. Now, we'd stayed with many other Esperanto speakers after that at different times. Nothing kind of lived up to that, but they were all unique and interesting experiences in themselves. Now, this story, I think, should be interesting to a lot of people because this is for a language that has somewhere between a couple of 100,000 to maybe 2 million speakers, okay? So you can imagine that's very, very small in comparison to Japanese. Now, obviously, different culture, so maybe you can't expect the same type of things, but it is something that I've managed to profit from in using this language, traveling around, okay? So this is an Esperanto Chinese story. This one actually happened when I was traveling in China, and I'd actually organized with a local Esperanto group, okay, in one of the cities there. I think it was Chongqing. Anyway, I'd met with them, I had a good time with them. It's got nothing to do with that. But after that, I traveled to a small town, which is in the countryside there, okay? And we were traveling around, we were doing stuff, and it was at that time that I injured my lower back, okay? So my lower back, it went bad. I literally ended up in bed in the hotel room, okay, in a very, very small village, unable to bloody move for like days. Like, I was like, my back was killing me. Now, the problem was that we had to travel back to Chongqing so I could go see a doctor because like this tiny ass place where we were, there wasn't really anything there, okay? So like, it was a bit of a pain in the ass. Now, we tried to find via the local app someone, you know, we could hire to drive us back. Now, unfortunately, at that time, we couldn't find anyone. And it was at that time where, luckily, I still had the contacts over in Chongqing, and I asked, you know, do they know of any local services that could maybe come and, you know, pick me up from Chongqing? And I did not expect this, but one of the Esperantists was just like, oh, that's okay. I've got family that's beyond that point. I'll drive out and pick you up. Now, this may not sound like much, okay, but this is, I think it was like a 2, almost 3-hour drive for him. And he drove there, picked me up, and I thought that he would take us to, you know, his family. When he's done there, he would come back. No, he was just using that as a cover story. And then he just drove me straight back to Chongqing. So I was like laying down in this guy's car who had only met like, you know, twice at a local event. And he drove all the way out there, picked me up, and drove me all the way back, okay? So obviously I was using Esperanto and Chinese, and my connections there with Esperanto helped me out a lot. So this is a bit of a random one, and this is a bit of a more awkward moment type of one, okay? So I lived here in Sydney, or I still live here in Sydney, and I went out for a run, okay? Now, if you don't know, a large portion of Sydney is actually Chinese immigrants. So I went out for a run, I'm running around the block, I'm sweaty as fuck, okay? And I come back to our apartment building, and there's an elevator. Okay, one elevator for the entire apartment building. So I hop in the elevator, and I hop in from the first floor, but there's a ground floor, and an old Chinese couple have jumped into the elevator as well. And I'm standing here, you know, facing the doors, waiting to go up to my floor, and the couple are behind me. Now, at this time, my Chinese wasn't great. Like, it's still not great, but like, it was good enough to understand, you know, the basics of conversations. And then at that moment, I heard the old woman turn to her husband and say, "This foreigner is so stinky." Now, if you don't know, the word for foreigner, la wei, it doesn't mean like foreigner as in like someone from another country. It generally just means like a white person, you know, in China, outside the culture type of thing, but they still use it in Australia. So I'm still called a foreigner in Australia, okay? Now, obviously, in the moment, I turn around and I'm like, excuse me, but you're kind of the foreigner in this country, and, you know, I'm not the foreigner, unless we go back several generations. But in any case, I'm not the foreigner, okay? So I said all that, probably in very, very broken Chinese, but it was enough for them to understand that they probably should never insult someone that they just, you know, right behind their back. Like, obviously they'd never experienced this before. It was like very shocking for them. It was like very heart beating for me because I was like, you know, like I was not like, you know, like ready to fight or anything, but like, you know, when you like just confront an awkward situation, your heart just goes to war. So that's what I experienced in that moment. I got off the elevator and I thought about how fucking marvelous for once in my life I'd done the one thing I was thinking about in that moment. I'm sure you've all done this, okay? You've thought about a situation after the fact and you're like, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? I should have done this, should have done that. You know, like this was the one time where I did it and I was so proud of it. And it was the first time I ever got to really like use Chinese for anything beyond just internal within the house. Again, this is a different trip to China. Again, I injured my back. If you guys haven't figured it out so far, I have back issues. Well, I did. It's getting a lot better now. What happened is I injured my back. Again, I was in a small town, but this town was big enough to have a hospital. And a small town in China generally is the size of a mega city in Australia. So we were in this town, okay, and we went to the local hospital, and obviously they don't get many foreigners out there. So when I rocked up to the hospital, everyone was like, grouping around. Oh, look, there's one of them here. So like all the doctors were coming in, they're all very curious and interested and, you know, staring at me type of thing, which still is an interesting experience because you imagine in this globally connected world, like, what, you've never seen a white guy before? Obviously they have on TV, on, you know, friggin' their, what's it called, like their video red book or whatever, okay? They see the foreigners on there, but they just don't have them locally rock up. And here I was, as white can be, okay, in their hospital. So they're all grouping around, they're all very, very interested, and most of them speak, because they're doctors, they're educated, they speak English to some degree, but usually way worse than my Chinese, okay? I'm talking way worse. There was only one there who spoke English to, like, a goodish level, okay? And that's still way below my Chinese, which, if you've seen my Chinese, it ain't that great. So when I'm there, they're trying to like give me directions about what they're doing with my back, and eventually, because my wife is coming in and out, she's doing translation, but eventually I just start speaking Chinese, because I'm always very nervous when it comes to Chinese, because I know local accents can really throw me. And if you've gone to this part of China, which is near Chongqing, the accent is very, very different from the standard, okay? And they think they're speaking standard, but they ain't. So when I start speaking Chinese, obviously, the doctor who I'm speaking with, a young guy, is absolutely thrilled. He's so happy that he can actually communicate with me, and we start chatting, and he keeps finding reasons to come back and talk with me. And a little bit after that, like, he actually invited me and my wife to meet his wife, okay, and just go for a local trip, because apparently on the weekend they've got like a local trip planned, and he just wanted to hang out and learn more about Australian culture. He's just fascinated. He is specifically fascinated about the fact that we have kangaroos in Australia, and more specifically fascinated about the fact that you can cut off their balls and make wallets out of them. Yes, that is like a tourism industry thing in Australia. You can get kangaroo ball wallets. But anyway, we were traveling around with this guy. He helps me out a lot. And then for the future appointments with him, he doesn't charge me anything. He just like, come here type of thing, you know? I'll just help you out type of thing. Like, the bare minimum. Like, he does charge me for the resources, but not for his time. And to this day, we're still friends. So my wife and me, we still speak with him in WeChat. If we've got any medical issues, like here locally, we literally run the reports by him, and he will give us his opinion. And then also if he needs anything, you know, like milk powder or something for his baby, he'll contact us and we'll send them over there. But yeah, it was just like a very interesting experience that was made so much better by the fact that I speak Chinese, okay? And this happened multiple times in this small village. Like, if you want to really utilize your language, go to an area where they're never going to meet you. Now, obviously, this is only for very specific languages, but for Chinese, this is still very true. So I was in this small village again, and what happened is my wife decided we're going to go out, grab some food from a shop that was right next to us. It was a noodle place. We went in there, she ordered some food. It was fucking fantastic, like great noodles, okay? And it was run by this old lady who, again, only speaks local dialect, does not speak friggin' the standard, but it's close enough that you kind of understand. But she's super excited because she's got this foreigner in her shop eating her noodles. This must mean that she's got a great shop, okay? It's got nothing to do with the fact that it was just the first place we walked into, but the noodles were really good. Now, she was very excited, asked my wife lots of questions, but assumed I spoke no Chinese, and I didn't have the inclination to talk at that time. I think because this was sometime after a back injury, and I was just not very talkative. But anyway, the next day, my wife goes out, does some stuff, and I want to go grab some food, and I'm the type of guy, if I find something I like, guess what I do? I go back to that place, and I like those noodles. So I went back there, and this time alone, and I started ordering in Chinese. So you can guess what happened. She's super excited. She's telling everyone, you know, all her friends, local friends, taking pictures with me that, look, her noodles are so good that she even brings in the foreigners. Yes, I'm pretty sure she printed out that photo and probably has it up on the wall in her shop now. Just the fact that, I'm a foreigner who kept coming back, and I must have gone back 4 times to eat her noodles. They were very, very good, and they got better and better as the time went by. It was very sad when I had to tell her that. Unfortunately, I would not be coming back again. But that was not just one occurrence in that town of using the language, okay? There was a second one, and it started in that noodle shop but ended elsewhere. So while I was there, I was chatting with the old lady. I think on the third visit, there was another man who was sitting across on another table, and he was listening in. Apparently, he was a local businessman who also frequented this shop, and also he was in kind of a position of authority. Now, I did not know this, but he started having a chat with me, okay? And he didn't speak any English, so we were speaking in Chinese, asking, the standard questions. And then he invited me out. He's like, why don't you come out and have a meal with me and my comrades type of thing? Yeah, that's kind of how you talk in China, okay? But anyway, I was like, why not type of thing. I'm here to learn the language and experience the culture, and at this point I was starting to feel a lot better with my back issues, so why not? So I organized it. My wife's like, why are you just meeting up with random... How do you keep making friends? I don't even make this many friends. And like... It was kind of bizarre, but like he just added me on WeChat, and I figured that would be it. Like there would be no further correspondence. No, he legit organized a meetup. So I was like, well, I gotta go. So we rock up at this random restaurant with this businessman. He's got 20 other of his colleagues there. Apparently he owns a massive local business, okay? And just wanted to, discuss. He wanted an actual insight into what it's like in Australia as opposed to what they hear online, okay? So I was more than happy to oblige because I was getting lots of good food, tasted great, we're just chatting along, having a great ball of the time. Turns out one of his businessman mates there is actually the director of the public ferry service in this city, okay? So they've got public ferries that go around, and they've got night tours, and the guy's like, hey, let's go do a night tour. And I was like, okay. My wife is like, oh, okay. These night tours are apparently pretty expensive locally, but he just walks down to the docks and like has a chat with the the people there, and suddenly they just open the doors and we get into the VIP area of this ferry, and we're just like floating around town, looking at all the shit. So if anyone ever tells you that learning a language is completely pointless, I don't know about that. Now, obviously, a lot of these are cultural. Certain cultures, you'll get certain benefits if you speak the language, and then certain others, you're not going to get those same benefits. But I've just showed you for like 2 wildly different languages, Esperanto and Mandarin Chinese, okay, that you can just randomly encounter scenarios where all that time you put into that language, actually, there's a benefit. Like, it comes full force, okay? And have you noticed also that these are all cultural ones? Like, I haven't actually spoken about any of the business opportunities that I ran through Esperanto. I actually raised very large investments for a business I ran a while ago through Esperanto, or, any of the other business stuff via Chinese. I just wanted to speak about, local cultural stuff. Now, obviously, if you're learning English, you don't get this, okay? The amount of times my wife has said to me, every time someone compliments your Chinese, I get annoyed because no one ever compliments my English. And I'm like, I say your English is great all the time. And she's like, no, you just say that whenever I get something wrong. So I know you're just mocking me. And I'm like, no. But that's true if you're learning English. So for those who are learning English and watching my channel for input, because there is a bunch of you, I know that. Yeah, it sucks to be you. Go learn a different language. One where it's a bit more accepted. Now, I'd love to hear also from other language communities. Now, I'm talking Spanish, Russian, Arabic, whatever, okay? Because I love reading and hearing about these stories, and they always kind of thrill me, and specifically Japanese. I'm sure some of you guys have had some great experiences. Anyway, I have babbled on for 19 minutes, roughly, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If not, well, fuck you. You should have enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. No. Anyway, sub to the channel. Make sure you follow the TikTok, because I got a TikTok as well. I'll see you all in the next video, and if you're not there, well, then you may wake up to find Elmo sitting on your chair. You